welcome back. I hope you're having a good day. I have been making a habit of every time I do a video on one of my rain trees, I do an update on the last video I did. I repotted this guy about 5 weeks ago, a little over a month ago. You can see it's recovering quite nicely. When I repotted it, it was turning into a little bit of a clump in that at this angle right here, it actually had a big branch coming off this side here, and then it also had another big branch coming off of this side here. I ripped that part of the stump off and actually replanted it. That survived too. I'll show you that in a second. This one I pruned. It's already got this little branch coming off there. I'm going to cut that in a minute. I'm not going to cut just yet because it is still recovering from the repot. I want to let it go ahead and let this side maybe recover a little bit more before I go trying to cut anything. All right, and then I wanted to give you guys just a little bit of a closer look here at what I was talking about. This is the side that I ripped the stump off where it lived. I broke the stump. I didn't really rip it off. I actually pruned it off, but that one lived. And then I just cut this one off. This branch actually came out, sprouted out from under where I cut that off at. I want to take that out. If I thought that this tree was anywhere even close to, being finished or anything like that, I mean, even though a tree is never really finished, I might consider taking that one off too. But I think I'm going to leave that on there just in the hopes maybe it'll help. It's got the big scar there where I did prune off that other bigger branch. It might help pull that scar out, and there's even a scar there where it's been pruned right there before. Might help thicken that up some. Again, just let it recover a little more. See what happens. I'm going to go get that other part of the stump. Alright, and then this is the part of the stump that I'd cut off. Right there is where I'd used a root splitter to split it off the trunk. It's off center in the pot like that. If you go back and watch that old video, it just had a nice little root came off of it that way. That's why I had to kind of just plant it off to the side there. But you can see it's recovering quite nicely. It wasn't but about this tall when I did that. Got these 3 shoots on there. I did not, there wasn't much to tie it in with, so I did not tie it in. I am going to go ahead and just come a couple nodes up from the recovery there and prune this. We had a hell of a rainstorm come in last night. I actually have this I have like my ICU, and then I have like the next step from that. I actually have this in the next step where I can get some rain and everything. And it was really kind of, frightened me a little bit. It was really getting kicked around out there real good. But that should give it a chance to get established in there a little bit better. All right, and here is the subject of the day. I do have it as far back on this table as possible. Camera's all the way up against the wall. Almost just kind of missing the top here a bit. Not really all that much up there. I'll be cutting all that off anyway. So that's all you guys are missing up there. I've been wanting to avoid using wire on this one. So I've been kind of going with this philosophy of when I come in and cut off any of the, where you have 2 branches coming out of the same spot, crossing branches, unwanted branches. And then just kind of coming up like 2 or 3 nodes from where I cut it last. Best as I can tell, I cut it last somewhere right around in here. So today it'll probably be like up in here somewhere. Some of the shoots that are kind of coming off the side are a little harder to judge, as far as coming up a couple of nodes. I don't want to cut it at the same spot for sure. I also have the idea of, if it turns out I don't really like this, I can always just chop it off one day. This is just kind of me growing it out, letting the trunk grow too. If I think about it, this was actually a cutting from May of 2020. So it's just a little over 2 years old. This was one of the smallest cuttings I actually ever got to live. Decent sized trunk. I'll give you guys a little bit of a closer look once I get it cut down a bit. So let's see, this is one of the spots where there are 2 coming out. I think I'm going to eliminate this one altogether. And then that's right around where that old chop was. And I'll go here for now. By the time I do the rest of the tree, I may have to come down a little bit further there. Here's where I chopped. So I'm going to come up. Well, for directional pruning, I'd like to go here. It's seeming like maybe I want to go one lower than that, but that leaves a sprout coming this way. I don't want it going back towards the tree. This is a crossing branch. I'm going to go ahead and take that whole thing out. And that one there. up. If you do go back at the last video where I repotted that other one, I talked a little bit about this directional pruning. And dieback on these trees, I always leave about a ½ inch down to the last node, and then 99% of the time that's also where the branch is going to shoot, wherever you leave the last node, last leaf. If I cut it, here, it would pop out there and die back to there. Here it should come out that way and then die back to it. Works almost every time. I've still been using these pruners that Zellerman company gave me. Seem to still be working out just fine. Alright, and here's a little bit of a closer look to it. As you can see, I got a little dual trunk going here. This trunk's a little bit thicker, and this kind of cloud of foliage here, which is really hard to see now, is a lot denser than this side. Thought about trying to maybe cut it down to size a little bit, but I think I'm just going to be happy with where it's at right now. I am going to do what I'd call just a quick repot. In that, it's probably maybe the first tree, probably second one that I've ever really had that I've kind of regretted not tying in. It's been, I'm not really sure exactly how long it was since I did repot it, but I had it buried quite a bit deeper. And then when I go to get it set up here, as it's kind of been just blowing around there in the wind, it's actually kind of worked its way higher and higher. But I would like to just go ahead and take this chance to go ahead and trim it up a little bit. It's getting late in the summer for us. We still have several months of growing season left, but I do try to leave them alone come somewhere around mid-November. I don't really know enough about these guys to really keep messing with them that late. I want to make sure it's established by then. All right, there you might be able to get a better look at what I'm talking about. As you can see, is it's been kind of getting worked up. And since it is, a repot not out of complete necessity, as in the soil is still good, I'm going to go ahead and just take it out in this bin here. And I'm sure I'll remove plenty of the roots, but I do want to save as much of that good soil as possible. It's not cheap, and there's nothing wrong with it. Nice white roots in the... Guys, I know I've said it in other videos, but that right there should just be an advertisement of why. People argue with me about, trees grow fine in the potting soil, and this would grow fine in the potting soil, but there's no way it would ever just kind of come apart like this and enable me to just work on the debari. I'd have to, hack it all apart and everything. This is just going to pull off nice. Just kind of pull those roots out of there, reuse all that soil. Use some of my old pruners for this. And just look at that, nothing but nice mat of nice healthy white roots there. It was early this spring, first few rainstorms we had, seeing it kind of work its way up. I think once it started working its way up like that, it started just circling the roots down below. It's fine since it's in good soil, but it just got it, potted up there a little high. And we want that much of the root ball showing. Right. I was just talking, I'm left-handed. You would think that this setup, actually, as I did this setup from this side, I thought I'd be doing this all like this, but I was just telling some of the teachers I work with, about how they wanted to hold me back in kindergarten because I couldn't really hold the left-handed scissors right. And really, there's a few things, throwing the frisbee, using scissors, sometimes I actually find it a little more natural to just go ahead and use my right hand. Sometimes being left-handed can be rough. And you see the way that did work up, I should have actually went back and maybe watched the last time I repotted this just so I could kind of see what I have there. Got a decent spread on it. This root seems to be so much higher than the rest. Go ahead and remove that. Now, I've never heard of root cuttings with the rain tree, but I might give that a shot just for the hell of it. Did want to show you. I'm going to give that little root cutting a shot. I had one of my Royal Poinciana seedlings growing in this, and it ripped. I had it sitting on the ground, and it ripped the drain hole out of the bottom of this thing, so I put some potting soil on the bottom, and then just put that root cutting there with a little bit of the used bonsai soil on top. You know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. If it doesn't make it, it's fine. Be nice if it does. But I did decide, since I have enough root ball to tie it in, I will. You see, here's that side where I cut that really high root off there. I'm going to go ahead and guess that that's going to be the front of the tree one day. I'm going to probably go ahead and bury it all the way up into there. Just let that develop a little more. Kind of wish I had some training pots that were just slightly wider than what I've got here. Alright, and the rest of that used soil. Some fresh stuff on top. Alright, so that's that for the day. I am still just a little bit bothered by how much taller this side is than this side, but I'll let it slide for this time. I'll let it recover, see if I'm going to do anything about it next time. It looks so sad from being inside. All the leaves now are drooping. Get this thing back outside, it'll look so much better again.